The evening air was cool and crisp, carrying a faint scent of rain that had passed hours earlier. In a dimly lit corner of a chic downtown restaurant, Alexander Carter, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech empire, sat alone. His tailored suit was impeccable, his watch gleaming under the soft chandelier light, yet none of it mattered now. The woman he had been anticipating for weeks, a blind date arranged by mutual friends, had canceled at the last minute. A sinking feeling settled in his chest, heavier than he expected. He had meticulously planned every detail: the reservation, the wine, the subtle ambiance that would make the night unforgettable. And now nothing. Just the clinking of cutlery, murmurs of other diners, and the quiet hum of background music that felt almost cruelly cheerful. He stared at the empty chair across from him, trying to push aside the sudden wave of loneliness. It wasn't just disappointment. It was an echo of a deeper emptiness, one he had long buried beneath board meetings, investments, and deals. Despite his immense wealth and influence, moments like this reminded him of the life he had forsaken for his career. Love, companionship, genuine human connection. They had always felt just beyond his reach. He shook his head, trying to convince himself that this was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Yet his thoughts betrayed him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected beauty of life, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Alexander took a deep breath and attempted to immerse himself in the menu, scrolling through unfamiliar dishes without truly seeing them. The weight of solitude pressed down on him more acutely with every passing minute. Just as he was considering whether to leave and drown the evening in work instead, a gentle voice cut through his reverie. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" He looked up to see a woman standing with a hesitant smile. Her hair was slightly tousled, as if she had been racing against time, and her eyes carried a quiet determination. She was holding a small backpack and a few grocery bags, far from the glitzy elegance one would expect in such a restaurant. But there was a warmth in her gaze that immediately drew him in. "No, please sit," Alexander responded almost automatically. Something about her presence felt grounding, human in a way he hadn't felt in years. She sat down carefully, placing her bags under the table, and offered a polite nod. Alexander studied her subtly, taking in the worn sneakers, the casual sweater, and the tired lines etched around her eyes. She was ordinary yet radiant in an unpolished, real way that instantly challenged everything he thought he knew about attraction. "My name is Emma," she said softly, breaking the brief silence. "Alexander," he replied, extending a hand, which she shook with a surprising firmness. They began to talk, initially with small pleasantries, but soon the conversation deepened naturally. Emma shared snippets of her life: a single mother, juggling 2 jobs to provide for her young daughter, constantly fighting exhaustion and societal judgment, yet refusing to surrender to despair. She spoke with a sincerity and vulnerability that pierced through Alexander's carefully constructed defenses. He, in turn, found himself opening up about the relentless pressures of leading a corporation, the loneliness that came with success, and the secret longing for something meaningful beyond wealth and power. Alexander was astonished at how easily their dialogue flowed. He noticed the subtle gestures of resilience in her, the way she laughed despite exhaustion, the fleeting glances she cast toward the doorway, perhaps worried about time or a waiting task. Emma's story was heavy with struggle, yet there was a lightness in her spirit that shone through. He realized that he had been expecting to be impressed by status, beauty, and elegance. But here he was, captivated by courage, kindness, and authenticity. As the dinner progressed, Alexander observed Emma carefully. She had ordered a simple meal, one that suggested practicality rather than indulgence. There were no pretenses, no embellishments, just the bare honesty of a woman surviving and striving. And yet, in that simplicity, there was an elegance that made her presence unforgettable. Alexander felt an unfamiliar stirring within him, a mix of admiration, compassion, and a deep desire to protect and support. Hours slipped by unnoticed. Conversations became laughter, silences became comfortable pauses, and a connection formed that neither had anticipated. Alexander realized that the night's disappointment, the canceled date, the empty chair, was perhaps the universe's subtle nudge, guiding him towards something far more profound than a prearranged meeting. Emma, in turn, sensed a genuine interest in Alexander that wasn't about his wealth or title. It was rare, she admitted to herself, to encounter someone in a position of power who could also be unguarded, who could listen without judgment and engage without arrogance. The night began to dissolve the walls they had both carefully built around their hearts, replacing them with mutual understanding and empathy. Yet the challenges looming in Emma's life were never far from her mind. Her daughter needed attention, her bills were mounting, and she constantly feared that any reprieve was temporary. She felt the pangs of guilt for enjoying this rare evening of normalcy and connection, knowing that responsibilities awaited her the moment she stepped outside. Alexander noticed her subtle unease and admired her even more. Here was a woman whose life was defined by selflessness and sacrifice, and yet she managed to carry herself with dignity and hope. As dessert was served, a shared chocolate cake that neither really needed, but both chose to savor, Alexander found himself making a decision he hadn't anticipated. He wanted to be a part of her world, not just as a fleeting companion for one evening, but as someone who could offer support, stability, and perhaps even love. It was a terrifying thought, bridging worlds that seemed so impossibly distant, yet entirely necessary. The evening drew to a close, and Alexander insisted on walking Emma to her car. The rain had returned softly, leaving the streets glistening with reflections of the city lights. Emma looked exhausted but grateful, her shoulders finally relaxing as they reached the vehicle. Alexander paused, looking into her eyes with an intensity that surprised even him. "Thank you," she said quietly, almost as if afraid to hope. "No, thank you," he responded, "for reminding me that life isn't about schedules or cancellations. It's about moments like this." They exchanged numbers with a promise to meet again, though both knew that the bond they had formed transcended mere plans. Something profound had shifted, an invisible thread weaving their lives together in ways neither could have predicted. Over the following weeks, Alexander found himself rearranging his life, not his business, but his heart. He checked in on Emma regularly, not as a CEO checking on a business associate, but as a man genuinely invested in someone else's well-being. He admired her resilience, her unwavering love for her daughter, and the quiet courage she displayed every single day. Emma, in turn, began to trust someone in ways she hadn't dared in years, allowing herself moments of vulnerability and even hope. It was a slow, tender transformation, like the first rays of dawn breaking through a long, dark night. Neither rushed the process, for they understood that the most precious relationships were forged in patience, understanding, and unwavering support. They laughed over shared meals, celebrated small victories, and offered comfort during inevitable setbacks. In each other, they discovered an unexpected sanctuary, a place where ambitions, fears, and dreams could coexist harmoniously. One evening, Alexander found himself reflecting on that initial canceled date, realizing how perfect that twist of fate had been. What could have been a night marked by disappointment had instead become the beginning of a life-changing connection. He thought about how many people fear vulnerability, fear the unknown, and yet, when they embrace it, life has a way of rewarding them beyond measure. Emma's courage to approach a stranger in a restaurant, her willingness to share her story, had changed not only her own life, but his as well. Time passed and their bond grew stronger, rooted not in superficial attraction or societal expectations, but in genuine respect, empathy, and understanding. Alexander began to redefine his measures of success, realizing that the heart's fulfillment often outweighed financial gain or public acclaim. Emma, too, found strength in the support and love that Alexander offered, no longer feeling that her dreams were secondary to survival. Together, they discovered that love could heal old wounds, bridge social divides, and restore faith in the unexpected kindness of life. As the story of Alexander and Emma's first evening together reached the hearts of those who knew it, it became a quiet testament to the beauty of second chances. Life often presents obstacles and disappointments, yet sometimes the very moments that seem like failures or misfortunes are gateways to profound transformation. A canceled date, a chance encounter, and a willingness to embrace vulnerability led to a connection that neither could have scripted. Near the end of every journey, Alexander and Emma reminded themselves, and those around them, that kindness, courage, and openness were forces more powerful than any obstacle. And while the city hummed with indifference in one quiet restaurant corner, a single mother and a CEO discovered that love often arrives in the most unexpected forms, reshaping lives and hearts forever.